Okay, today we're talking about what's called vampire power, sometimes also referred to as standby power. So, little backstory, but basically I installed solar panels on my roof, worked out great. I have some other videos on that if you want to see. And so I reduced my usage of power significantly, my costs and everything. But I realized that, part of the equation is that you gotta, change how you're generating power in a different form, but you also need to reduce your usage of power to really save money as well. Sort of like, you can increase your revenue or cut your costs. So basically I want to cut my costs now. And I went around my house and I basically determined that a lot of things were using power that I didn't expect. So there are some devices out there that allow you to figure out what devices are using power and how much and all that stuff. You can do it right at your breaker and there's some pretty fancy things there. But the easiest way is to use one of these. I actually forget the name of this, but it's basically they're multimeters and things, but this is a really nice tool. So basically you just plug it into your wall and then plug the thing into it and it'll tell you how many watts you're drawing. So this is really great for detecting vampire standby power. As I went around and detected things, I found that computers, old desktop computers, were using tons of power. They were costing me $2 to $5 per month just to have this thing sitting there doing nothing. Printers, entertainment centers that are kind of have a bunch of speakers and things like that. So anyway, I'll show you how to detect, how to measure with these things today, and how you can reduce some of that vampire power that you're wasting every month for devices that aren't doing any good for you. All right, let's get started. Okay, so here we are in my bedroom. We have this TV that's drawing some power, and then the printer, and then there's a woofer down there, and there's also a speaker up by the TV. So all these devices, they're in standby mode right now. They're not really doing anything of value. And they all go into this power strip, and then this power strip goes up into that thing that measures how many watts. And as you can see there, right now, doing nothing, everything's using about 34 watts. So, and there is some convenience here, like the printer's on and ready to get print jobs and whatnot, but at the end of the day, it's not providing that much value. So that's 34 watts, so if you multiply that by the number of hours in a month, roughly, 24 hours, 30 days a month, 720 hours in a month times 33 watts, we'll say. It's roughly 23,000 kilowatts, watts that it's using in a month. So it's basically 23 kilowatt hours is what it amounts to. How much does that cost you? It's usually about 8 to 11 cents, depending on where you live, per kilowatt hour in a month. So essentially 22, we're saying that's 22 times 8 cents each. So we're spending $2 or $3 a month just for these devices to really do nothing. And you might think that is no big deal, but it does add up if you think of all the places in your house where this is happening. So we're going to work to reduce that. And by the way, I have gone in and figured out which, I just plugged in only the printer into that device and found out that it was using, of the 23 or the 33 watts, maybe half of it's the printer and half of it's the TV, and a very small part is the TV, but a big part is the speaker. So be aware that devices like this, that kind of which types of devices draw a lot of power. It's usually speakers and entertainment centers and old computers, and also printers and stuff. So those are the ones that you should target first and figure out which are using the most power and try to reduce them. Okay, so you're saying, great, Matt, that's great that we've identified the problem. We have some devices using power that they shouldn't. So how do we just solve it? So in this case, this is my downstairs entertainment center. One solution that you can do, so I have mine set up so this computer, you know, certain devices you want to just be in standby mode, right? Like I want to be able to just wiggle the mouse on here and have it turn immediately on. So I'm willing to pay the price for that. Might be a few bucks a month for that possibility. I have found Apple devices are a lot better than old junky desktop computers. Those use a ton of power. Like they cost you a few bucks a month. But these ones are only like probably not like 50 cents a month, like these iMacs. So I kind of am biased, but I like Apple products because they don't seem to do as much vampire power. The other solution for all these devices is I have this, you can do a power strip. I have this little thing here that has a master power, and then it's basically just a bunch of switches on the back. But if you install like a switch like this, you can control a lot better what devices are turned on at all. Because you don't want these even being in standby mode. Like you want them completely turned off. So I do that, and then then I can turn on the device. But that reduces vampire power quite a bit here in this entertainment center. It was drawing maybe 50 or 60 watts a month, or 50 or 60 watts. So that's $3 or $4 a month, and so I've reduced that quite a bit. It's a little bit of a pain now. I have to tell the kids whenever you turn on stuff, make sure you turn this master switch on, but it's not that bad. Okay, another solution that you can do for vampire power is, so rather than just like a normal switch that you have to switch on and off, like I showed you already, I'm going to use these Sonoff. It's basically for home automation. It's this little switch that you can hook. I hook it into my Google Home Mini. So I have like 7 or 8 of those around the house. By the way, I've gotten those for like $3 or $4 on eBay. You can just get a promo code off of eBay and then get those shipped to you directly. So they're super cheap. So then these are about $5 on eBay. Sonoff, it's just the basic Wi-Fi smart switch. Then I buy just a cheap power cord extension here from like Lowe's or Home Depot. Those are about $1. So all in, we're about $6 in, and that basically gives you a switch where you can tell Google to turn it on or off through your Wi-Fi network. So it's a lot less expensive than other options. Like there are other home automation things you can plug into your wall and stuff, but they usually cost you $10 to $20. So I have probably 15 or 20 of these in my house. So to scale that big, I've made it a lot less expensive. So the downside of that is you have to be a little more hands-on with this. So I cut this, the cord, basically strip these wires, and you put the wires in here on either end of this, and so now this extension cord basically has become a Wi-Fi switch that you can then plug all your devices in. My goal of this is so I can say, hey Google, turn on the printer, and it'll fire up the printer. So when my kids want to print, they have to do that first, and then turn it off once they're done. And the other advantage is I can have it like turn off my printer every night. So even if the kids left it on, I can just have it on a routine where it'll turn off the printer. The other part of this is sometimes these things, they don't allow you to have a ground. So like my printer cord here, it has this grounding piece. So I'm gonna, they usually have this safety thing that prevents you from having a ground on there, but I'm just gonna cut that off. So I'll cut that off with this and some pliers and get that all nice so that I can then plug my devices in. So I'm gonna work on that for a second, and I'll show you how it looks. My plan is to have the entertainment, the speakers, and the TV on one switch, and then the printer on a different switch. And then you'll be able to just control it by telling Google to turn them on or off. And so when we're in bed at night and we're lazy and we don't want to get up to turn the TV off and turn the speakers off and everything, we'll just tell Google to shut it all off for us. And by the way, when I start I have Chromecast on here, so when I start casting to this TV, the TV automatically turns on. It's set up with power and everything to do that. But for some reason I couldn't get it to turn off everything. So this will give me the capability that I can turn not only the TV but also the speakers off just by telling Google to turn it all off. Okay, this may be a little confusing, but basically I have now my printer And by the way, I have a whole nother video on how to set up those Sonoff, so you can check that out at the end of this. Basically, I got that printer set on that Sonoff switch, so now I can say, hey Google, turn on printer.
Sure, turning on the printer.
Hey Google, turn off printer.
Sure, turning the printer off.
So now that's controlling the printer. And then I have this other one that's controlling the TV and the speakers, the woofer, all together. That's all, and then they're all ultimately landing in this power strip. And then I have my Google Chromecast. It's actually hooked right into the power strip as well. That way I could just control the TV directly and not have it go through these. But anyway, that's a way to reduce phantom power. Hopefully that's helped. And this is just another solution of kind of having switches to reduce that. But good luck, and hopefully you can cut your power bills, even more than what you already have with your solar panels. All right, take care. See ya.